Good morning and welcome to the Sports Carnival live from the Trauma Center studios. You know, I hope when I inevitably choke to death on gummy bears, people just say I was killed by bears. I am your host, Dave Carney.
My God, Chad, you must have been listening in on your secret, like, super spy device to a conversation I was having the other night, because if it wasn't for the Hasbro gummy bears and that rousing opening song, which made all of us, you know, swell with pride and want to go out there and eat gelatin bears, which are made in a way that we're not sure how. We talked about basically gummy bears becoming the death of us, whether it be by internal ingestion or, as you've mentioned, the outward swelling of choking on an actual gummy bear. Good call, man. Can you stay off the fucking phone? Because I know you're spying on me now.
I apologize. Everybody's spying at you at all times. Every device you have is spying on you. So,
yeah, and I feel
sorry to burst your bubble.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You're like, so what you're telling me is that we live in a surveillance state. Oh, wait, we already adjudicated that one, didn't we? We found out about that a while ago.
Yeah.
Top of the morning, Joey Miller. You're in a fairly, well, I don't know if Joey's in a great mood this morning because Denver, and Joey Miller is a Denver fan. Joey Miller's Denver Nuggets without Nikola Jokic last night lost to Rob Dog and Stoddard's New York Knickerbockers as Julius Randle went off. If you want to jump into the program this morning here on the Sports Carnival, we'd love to see you pop up. We'd love to hear from you. Facebook, you can chime in on YouTube. You can chime in on Twitch as well. I know our LinkedIn, our Twitter feeds don't pull through here, but guys and gals, we'd love to be able to bring you aboard. Chad, our sports betting insider, former UNLV quarterback Jon Denton is going to be with us this morning at 8:30. John's given us an interesting slate of games in both college and the NFL. Is that college football? Is that college basketball? I'm not really sure, but we'll talk to JD at 8:30 this morning. He'll break it down for us.
Joey Miller, I got some good news for you. If you are a Denver fan, Broncos are playing the Raiders this weekend.
Oh, God.
So that should probably be a win, wouldn't you say? The Raiders are falling apart. They're at home, too. Denver's at home. So
yeah, I don't know that matters. Denver is the worst football team I have seen this year.
I don't know. I think the Raiders may be up there.
I don't think so, because at least the Raiders have held 10-point leads and like they've been winning games. Denver cannot score. Chad, Denver has the worst by statistical measurements quarterback in the NFL. Russell Wilson is playing like the worst football of anybody that's currently lacing up fucking starting cleats. So listen, Denver, woof, that was a really bad forward future play. I made Denver to win the AFC West. I got some plus money on that before the season started. That is not aging well.
Joey Miller's talking about Aquinas football. I don't know what that means. Is
so
that
Aquinas
a real thing?
High school. Yep. Okay. So last year, Aquinas won state. They won the state championship. Joey Miller was a starting offensive lineman on that Aquinas state championship team. Joey, congratulations. We celebrated the championship last year, I should say, at the La Crosse Beer House downtown in La Crosse. We had a nice celebration. So they're playing for state again, trying to win their second in a row. Really impressive. We talked to Coach Craig Cole, Chad, of the Onalaska Hilltoppers yesterday. The Onalaska Hilltoppers have won state. They've been state runner-ups. They've developed a lot of good players. The area is a hotbed for high school sports, and I'm glad to see this Aquinas team. This is how much things have changed since I moved out here. My first year, Chad, that I came out here, 2016-17, I want to say it was 2017, Aquinas couldn't even field a full football team. They actually had to shutter like near the end of the season, could not field the full team. And now to potentially win 2 consecutive state championships, that says a lot about that program and the coaches, the parents, and the kids. Congratulations, guys. I didn't know that. Congratulations.
That's something to do with a horoscope. I'm a Pisces personally. I didn't know what an Aquinas was.
No,
is that like the 13th sign? I'm not sure.
It's a Christian horoscope. It's a private Catholic school.
Okay.
Well, Aquinas is where all the, I wouldn't say all the, but a lot of the area's more affluent children go. Is that one way that we can put that? If you've got extra presents under your tree this year, you might be an Aquinas kid.
Okay. So it was like in Vegas. What was that called? Prep?
Bishop Gorman. Bishop Gorman. That's
right.
That's another private Catholic school that brings aboard a lot of really good athletes. Remember when Snoop Dogg and his kid moved to Vegas when Snoop Dogg's son was a wide receiver for Bishop Gorman that year.
Oh, that's right.
He went to UCLA and then basically decided, I want to quit football, right? To just go live off of, you know, the riches that my dad has created. Like, I don't need to actually sacrifice my spleen, legs, and ribs to get rich. You mean my dad's Snoop Dogg. Holy shit, this is great.
Not to mention the best weed you can get. So, I mean, there's that.
Absolutely. No, it's just, listen, it's always one of those interesting, sort of situations when you get private schools that are able to, literally, and this is before school choice became a real thing around the country, right? But you could literally go out and recruit because it's a scholarship of sorts. And once you get into those realms, that's why private Catholic schools, Chad, like especially like Modern Days and things around the country have been incredible pipelines to college football. I mean, not just Notre Dame, but like a lot of these college football programs, because they're able to basically pay in, or pay for some of the best kids to go to their school.
Well, yeah, the other great thing about Catholic schools is, of course, Catholic girls. So there's that.
Yes, and didn't we understand they have, too much fun? Was Billy Joel, right? Catholic girls have
that was Billy Joel.
Not to be confused with Elton John, which I did.
No, that was Catholic Boys. Similar song, just different.
Yeah. And currently the church is trying to get they're trying to get somebody to take on that case. They're like, can we stop Elton John singing about this shit? Good
All
Lord.
Right, let's not get canceled.
Not yet, anyways. Neil Duda's checking in and says, hey, I'm a Taurus, but I can also relate to Diana Taurasi.
Is that a WNBA reference?
I believe it is.
Deanna isn't Taurasi? Isn't she a WNBA?
She was. Yes, I don't know if she still is.
Okay,
but she was. I'm pretty sure. Is she still in the Is the WNBA still a thing? Like, let's start with that. Is the WNBA still a thing that's out there and on? And then, secondly, is Diana Taurasi in the WNBA? Inquiring minds want to know.
I don't honestly know either one of those questions. I think the WNBA is a real thing. I do think there's 3 or 4 people that do watch that. I'm not sure about Diana Taurasi.
Yeah, I think I can go. I think I can remember that the Las Vegas Aces, the only team that's ever been named correctly for being in Las Vegas, not trying to shy away from the gambling thing. So that's a great name. They did win the WNBA championship. I saw Mark, don't give me a haircut unless you put a bowl over me, Davis, celebrating that. After they had won.
Yes.
All right, boys and girls. We're going to step aside, take our first pause here on the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the recovery room. When we come back, Chad, we'll wax a little poetic about last night's Bucks victory over the Cavs. Milwaukee was in a 2-game losing skid. They got a huge performance from Splash Mountain Brook Lopez. Giannis had a subdued night, but the Bucks rolled 17-point victory. Stick around. We're back in about a minute.
What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
Coming to Fox this fall, it's the Bench Brothers.
Talking about that street clothes in Westbrook.
They're getting down on the bench. The Bench Brothers, brought to you by Big Dick's Hoagie Heaven. Remember, ladies, the first 6 inches is free. And by Don Francisco's. At Don Francisco's, if you're up all night, so are we.
Street clothes in Westbrook.
They're getting down on the bench.
Back to the action live from the Trauma Center studios. This is the one and only Sports Carnival. Remember, if the music is too loud, you're probably too old. That is your host, Dave Carney. Isn't that true? Have you found that as you've gotten older? Like, dude, could you turn that down?
Yeah, I'm deaf in one ear now, so it really now. Can you turn it up for God's sakes? I can't hear what you're saying. It's one or the
both ways. Yeah,
it does. Wrap your mouth around that, Subway. Honk honk. Hey, thanks a bunch to our good friends Mike Garcia, Todd Vercruzzi, the Coos, Midwest Mortgage Team, Land Home Financial, Preferred Insurance, Tony Rouse, O'Brien Sandmeyer, Kyle Cable, One Trust Real Estate, Sean O'Neill Law Firm, and Joe Sampson Helping Hands Landscaping. Guys, really appreciate you and appreciate your support as we continue on this journey, the Sports Carnival. It's just getting rolling, Chad. I do feel sometimes like I'm caught in a vortex. If we've been doing this for 6 weeks or 6 months, it goes fast, doesn't it? It feels like we're getting back into a rhythm. And for those that are reacquiring this program through many of our different streaming platforms, thanks for making us a part of your day. And we're still out there beating the drum, trying to get all the other P1s back on board. It's a process, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Now, so when Neil Duda's not just dropping beats, he's also watching the WNBA, apparently.
Oh,
he says Diana Taurasi does play for the Phoenix Mercury. That does kind of ring a bell.
Good to know.
And he mentions Phoenix, the Suns last night playing the Warriors. Yeah, and Steph Curry drops a 50-piece and still doesn't win.
Yeah, the Warriors are in a really bad spot right now. I caught a stat on the game last night. Neil, that was a great text. Also, Neil had this to say because we were talking about something. It's interesting. We're not even going to serve a 5-game suspension for this comment. Thank you, Neil, for helping us out. It says, my wife went to a Catholic school. I can definitely attest Catholic girls have a lot of fun. Listen, it's the skirts. We all know why. The uniforms, they're awesome. They really are. Now, I think that for what it's worth, and I haven't been around one of these high schools in many years for obvious reasons, my son goes to DeSoto now where he's going to be graduating. I think they have tamped down the uniform fun. As a matter of fact, I think it's opposite now. I think the guys get to wear the kilts and the girls show up in khakis and a blue shirt.
Yeah. See, I like to throw a twist in it. I like a Jewish girl in a Catholic skirt. That's just me, though. I'm a little bit odd.
That's okay. That's, listen.
Contrast.
You want a little compare and contrast, right?
Yes.
Little compare and contrast. All right. So the Suns, they did look good last night versus those Warriors dropping.
What do you think the problem is with the Warriors? Is it they just don't play defense? They're just is it just because Steph Curry's just not getting enough help? I didn't watch a lot of the game.
Right.
But he scored 30 by halftime.
So yeah, and I got a little off guard there. The stat that I saw was how ineffective the rest of the Warriors are outside of Steph Curry. So out of all players in the NBA that have played a certain amount of minutes, James Wiseman, who we talked about at length, right, as being one of these pieces for the Warriors team that was going to be able to, get the team sort of, into a next level. He's got the worst PER, player efficiency rating, of anybody playing over a certain amount of minutes. And then you look at some of their other guys. Jordan Poole is not playing anywhere near the way that he was playing last year. Klay Thompson will never be what he was, right, after missing 2 full seasons. Draymond Green was never that offensively talented. And outside of Steph Curry, you're starting to look at this team. I think they'll be fine. Jonathan Kuminga, though, has been playing atrociously.
Yeah.
They're basically like this. They've got good players that are playing really poor basketball right now. At least that's the way that it looks so far to me, which is, listen, that's quite a dichotomy when you think about the Milwaukee Bucks, who, even though they've been playing without Drew Holiday for a number of games, Chris Middleton hasn't started the season, Pat Connaughton hasn't played, Joe Ingles has never played a game yet for Milwaukee, the team is still on a bit of a roll. Now, they had come into last night's game against Cleveland, losers of 2 in a row. And Chad, that's why I felt real good about the Bucks in a bounce back spot. I really did. I thought the Bucks in a bounce back were going to be primed for the victory. Cleveland has a lot of weapons, though. And Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell each scored 23 points last night. But if you think the final score, 113, I want to say 98, that's nearly half of the offensive production for Cleveland. That was coming off the heels of a game in which they lost to the T-Wolves by 4, but Darius Garland had 51 points. So you look at this Bucks team and you say, wow, they're being able to win, putting together guys like Javon Carter in the starting lineup, right? Grayson Allen, who may be a trade piece, has been able to get in and get some of that action.
Last night too, I believe.
He was. And so I look at teams like the Warriors champions and the Bucks former champions, and I say, right now, it sure feels like the Bucks, not to say that Golden State can't get back on track. It feels like the Bucks are in a much better, more solid place. And it probably has a lot to do with the fact that Steph Curry, as great as he is, he's not as young as he used to be. And he can't carry that team exactly the same way that Giannis can really help carry the Bucks offensively and defensively, especially.
Still dropped 50 points.
I know.
9 and 6, I believe. I don't know if it was 6 assists and 9 boards or vice versa. Hey Duda says that, I don't know if this is true, we can verify this, that the Warriors haven't won a road game yet. That could be true.
Not surprising. That might be true. Golden State is struggling.
And it's kind of like in the NFL with the Rams. It's like you win a championship, and sometimes the following year can be really, really challenging. And apparently that's happening in both leagues for both of those teams that happen to both be in California. It's going down the shithole.
Man,
sorry, did I say that? I didn't mean to get political.
That's okay. Listen, don't worry about that. We've all, at some point or another, I think the folks here in Wisconsin who look at California and say, the weather is awesome, but what the fuck are you guys doing out there? We've all looked at that and said, there's something in the water. But going back to the Bucks game last night, guys, Chad, you and I were talking about this off air, but we've been on this Brook Lopez bandwagon all season. Last year, Brook didn't play much. I mean, he really didn't get started, I want to say, until about 2/3 of the way, maybe 3/4 of the way into the season, had a back issue, which sidelined him. I don't know if it was Brook Lopez getting all of that time off, right? Just a big 7'2" body, not having to pound every day on that hardwood. I don't know what it was that exactly reinvigorated Brook Lopez, but what you're seeing here, if you're able to watch us, if you're listening to us on Podbean, we'll give you the descriptive here. But what you're seeing on the screen is Brook Lopez last night going 7 of 9, Chad, from downtown, had 29 points. And this is the interesting part, like how much better he has actually been this year from behind the arc. 35 for 90 from downtown. I don't think the Lakers have made 35 3-pointers all season as a team. And Brook Lopez has 35 this year. He's shooting nearly 40% beyond the arc and making 2.5 a game. Both of these would be career highs in a career in which Brook Lopez, again, is over a decade and has been an all-star. I can't recall seeing a big guy like this change his game so dramatically. Like, Brook can still score on the block. That's not a problem. But I've not seen a big guy like this that steps out 30 feet at times and just simply drains it and shoots it with the confidence, all the confidence in the world. Last night, Brook's twin brother, Robin, was playing against him for the Cavs, and Robin was a one-time member of the Bucks too, and he still plays the same basic game. Get down low, pretend that you're actually, Krusty the Clown or, Sideshow Bob, fling that, put a little jump hook in, right? Like, that's the way that they go about it. Brooks really developed into this whole other animal, and I can't recall another time in which I've seen somebody do that. I mean, is there an NBA player that you can think of that's had that kind of career arc, like strictly one way and then goes almost a complete other way?
No, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I think the other thing to mention is not only has he improved his offensive side of the game, but he's improved tremendously on the defensive side of the game. And obviously he's just committed himself. And obviously he's worked in the offseason. And as you said, recovered from injuries, all of those things. We've noticed that right off the bat. And again, this goes to how deep. I mean, think about this. Think about when Giannis has kind of an off night. You listed all those guys that aren't playing, including Grayson Allen most recently. Haven't been going. Drew Holiday's been hurt the last couple of games, and they're still able to eke out these wins, and other guys step up, and it's impressive, and it just shows you how deep they are. And when they get all of those guys back, just think about where this team may end up. And it's funny because you think, well, they just beat the Cavs. The Cavs are actually pretty good this year, and Donovan Mitchell is actually in the talks right now. I know it's early, as an MVP candidate, for crying out loud.
Well, they started off Cleveland 5-1. They've lost their last 4 games, so sort of coming back to the pack. But you're right, the Cavs are not a bad team. They're not. They're well coached. They've got an interesting lineup. The way that they went big last year, they zagged when everybody else was zigging towards the small ball. Cleveland went and implored a big lineup, right? So Evan Mobley from USC, this guy had a dunk on Giannis last night.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wow. I mean,
well,
wow.
Here, let me just say, and when someone says that they dunk on you, to me, that's not a full being dunked on, because he was kind of late. You know what I mean?
Fair.
It's not like Giannis was squared up right in front of him and you dunked over him. So, yes, technically he dunked over him, but he didn't really dunk over him, if you know what I mean. Like, let me give you an example of dunking over somebody. And if you remember this, Kevin Johnson dunking over Akeem Olajuwon.
Absolutely.
I think that was in the late 80s, early 90s.
Nope, that was in that Western Conference Finals that Phoenix went and played. So it was 93, and they played against Houston. Yep.
That was a true dunk on a big guy.
Yes,
probably the best dunk on I've ever seen, considering the size difference and the caliber of players between those two. So to me, I mean, it was still cool. And Mobley can say he dunked on Giannis, but he didn't really dunk on Giannis.
Yeah, and it's not like when Giannis actually jumped over Tim Hardaway when Hardaway was in next, Tim Hardaway Jr. a couple of years back, and Giannis was so humble about it, he wouldn't even let him make a T-shirt. He felt bad for him because he jumped over a 6'7" man and yoked it down, basically shat upon his head, if you were to use a basketball term. I don't know that Tim Hardaway's ego's ever recovered from that. That's one of those like, oh my God, you're right. What we saw last night was a lob alley-oop, but in the picture, all right, the picture that shows Mobley yamming it, you see Giannis's face like, oh, okay, the dude got me. But, back to your greater point, the Bucks, as far as a team is concerned, look at Jordan Norwood. So 21 points last night, a season high. I didn't really check in on Beauchamp. I wasn't sure if he got in there, but the Bucks.
He did play, didn't he? I think he only had like 2 points and 5
Okay,
boards,
but
like
he's getting some run in, right? The Bucks outpaced Cleveland's bench 45-20. You look at Bobby Portis. We've got a stat up here for Portis. Now, 10 points and 11 rebounds. You might say, okay, that's fairly pedestrian. Not off the bench. That's a very good night's work for a guy off the bench.
Absolutely.
Bobby Portis right now as well. If he continues on his current pacing, I'm going to be hard-pressed to see somebody else win Sixth Man of the Year, especially if Milwaukee is what we're seeing right now at 11-3.
Westbrook might be in the conversation, even though we just made fun of him in that commercial. He actually might end up being a sixth man. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I mean, he is a sixth man.
I'm not saying he will win, but he's in the talks right now.
Sure,
a long season yet.
Westbrook is probably, now I just like that name. Westbrook is probably right now, to be fair, the most effective player for the Lakers, right? Like, I mean, Westbrook may be like the most effective player. And I'm not saying he's the best player, but he's like the most effective. The Lakers are awful. I've been sad I haven't had Laker basketball games to bet on the last couple of nights. Oh, and this is something I've just got to lay out because we're talking Bucks. They win last night, 113-98 against Cleveland. Next up for Milwaukee, Friday versus Philadelphia, and Joel Embiid, everybody's favorite 30-game MVP candidate. But I gave I gave
he is great for 30 games though. I'll tell you what, if the season was 30, if it was only 30 games, he probably would in MVP. You're right.
He would. I mean, he's like everybody's favorite 30-game MVP candidate. I mean, he's really good for that amount of time. And
has anybody ever told you you're an asshole?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
I'm glad that we brought that up. Yes, I've been told that quite a bit more recently, I think, than perhaps maybe people might.
Best armchair quarterback in the league, right here. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
It's fine. But yes, I have been considered an asshole. They're going to play the Philadelphia 76ers on Friday. And, I don't know what other point I was really trying to make. It doesn't ultimately matter that much. The Bucks are a really good team. Boston's scary right now. But if this thing works out for Milwaukee by the end of the year, Bobby Portis could be the sixth man of the year candidate. Okay. If Russell Westbrook doesn't just play off the bench and the Lakers decide not to start anybody.
All right, my turn to be an asshole. And this is my team, so I can do this, okay? I love the Celtics. I like the way they're playing.
Yeah.
But Grant Williams, okay? I'm tired of his bitching. All he does is bitch at the refs. Even Doris Burke last night mentioned it in a different way. She said maybe he can in the future approach the referees a little differently. It seems like all he does is up and down the court. He's talking to the ref. It's like, dude, play basketball. Now, he dropped 18 points. The Celtics won last night. It was great. Yeah,
they've won 8 in a row.
But I just get tired of people. It's like watching Luka. All he does is bitch at the ref. It's like, play basketball. At least play defense. Dead ball bitching. Wait till there's at least a break and then bitch at him. These guys are just up and down the court. I get tired of it. I wish I'd see more. They need more technicals. They need to shut these guys up with more technicals, honestly.
You know what? I think that's fair because, listen, that is one way to shut that stuff right down is the technical fouls, right? Like, and you know what we talked about earlier this season about not technical fouls, but about those fouls when you're advancing the ball up court, right? And you're trying to stop the guy from making the fast break. And it used to just be a side out of bounds play, right? You'd stop the fast break, side out of bounds. What up, Alec? What the heck you doing, man? Good to see your name pop up. But what we talked about, the NBA went hard on that, right? And now it's a free throw and you get the ball back, right? For those fast breaks that are getting stopped. And guess what's gone down? Those fouls. They're not fouling guys on the fly because now you're looking at a severe penalty, right? You're looking at something that your coach is going to side-eye you for and your team's going to be like, dude, what the fuck? Why'd you do that? So you're right. The technicals, I think that the referees have become a bit neutered in that respect because, player empowerment in the NBA is like of the utmost, right? And I know that the NBA wants to be a players league more than any other league really wants to be a players league. So I think that there has been some of that back and forth, plus the technical fouls slow the pace of the game. But if you're having Doris Burke actually be the one to point out that Grant Williams, who, by the way, was like a 4-year guy at Tennessee, he really shouldn't be bitching, right? As far as I know, he never played international soccer or basketball. So that's another thing. And shout out to the USA, by the way, getting to play coming up here. I think, when do they play? On Monday in Qatar for the start of the World Cup. So they're in Group B with Wales, England, and Iran.
Wow, I'm surprised you even know Group B. You know way more than I do. That's soccer?
This is World Cup time, baby.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
this World Cup time. I'm trying to make some motherfucking money. Okay. Now I remember what I was going to say before you called me exactly what I am. Chad put out the epitome of asshole towards me.
I totally threw you off. I'm sorry, man.
No, it was fine because I got caught thinking about how many times recently I've been hurled that very same admonition. And so the point was, I gave a daily play last night, right? Felt like the Bucks were going to smoke the Cavs, but I said take the over of 217.5. Well, ironically, what I did was press the button on under 217.5. So all night long, I'm watching this game last night with buddies, and I'm seeing the score. First quarter, it's like 70 total points. I'm like, wow. Well, my prediction will be right. My bet will end up losing money. By the end of the night, my prediction turned out to be wrong, and my bet actually hit. So I felt a little sheepish, but I needed to lay that out there because my daily play said take the game over 217.5. It obviously didn't cover that, but on accident, I actually won my bet, which is fine.
Well, that's called luck, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially
Right.
when you're gambling. Luck is your friend.
Yes, it is. And I will take a measure of luck over, being good any day, right? And I think that's kind of what I looked at this, as last night, a little piece of good luck. Maybe the tides are turning for me, Chad. Maybe someday I won't have asshole be the only thing that's hung around my neck. Maybe I'll have lucky guy, right? That could be a thing too.
Well, not to mention you're obviously got a side gig as a chimney sweep, as I've noticed your gloves.
Hey,
Camera view. Those are really nice. And your luck was bad the last couple days with a flooded basement. So you got the flooded basement, but you hit the button wrong and won money.
Exactly.
So you're even Steven. There's nothing wrong with that.
You know what? And that was the way I kind of felt yesterday too. I looked at this water in the basement, and as long as these guys don't send me a bill, I'm not going to come on here and tell you exactly who it was and exactly what happened, because if I did, that dude would be losing out way more than just $200, as far as that's concerned, because whatever. There was a lot of water down there yesterday, and I told Chad off air, and I told some people yesterday, you just kind of had to look at it from above and say, well, that water's still going to be here when I get back. So I got to go because there was shopping to be done. I had to go see some people and do some stuff. And I thought, yeah, that's still going to be there when I get back.
You know what you do next time? Just turn the heat off. You make some ice, and you got a little skating rink. You play some hockey down there.
Do you know that one time, and I don't know if it was right here in La Crosse, but I feel like it was in La Crosse, they actually found a family that had turned their basement into an entire fish, like they made it for a fish moat or something. Like they go down there and basically go fishing.
Bunch of ice holes.
Yes. And I don't know that that's legal. I don't know how sanitary any of that is, but that was something that I had heard. So you wouldn't have been the first guy to have thought about something kind of like that, especially out here in Wisconsin. Listen, the winter is long, and what people do to entertain themselves is varied. You just got to kind of mix it up.
Cabin fever is a real thing. I've suffered from it as well. Like when you're stuck inside for too long, it can be maddening, especially when you can't go outside and get some sunshine because it's overcast and it's snowing. Yeah, that sucks. This is why Alaska, all they do in Alaska is drink. I know you guys drink a lot in Wisconsin.
I was going to say,
in Alaska.
Dude, Alaska, here, let me just tell you this. Hold our fucking beer, okay? You guys think you drink a lot in Alaska? Hold our fucking beer. They've got T-shirts out here, Chad. You'd love this. That says "Drink Wisconsinably." Okay, I mean, literally, you go get these things. Drink Wisconsinably, because this is a profession. People out here are not fucking around.
That's great.
So Matt, the owner of the Recovery Room, who of course powers the Trauma Center Studios coast to coast, says your Blue Gold Eagle alum should be able. So this is to our Blue Gold, Aquinas Blue Gold, and Eagles alumni. We should be able to stream the Aquinas game today and stream the Eagles on Saturday. Says have a blast at the Nest, brother. So I told you, Matt is good friends with Dave, the owner of the Eagles Nest. And we, Matt and I have had lunch over there before. So I knew it wouldn't be completely out of pocket to mention that the Eagles game on Saturday, as they're down in Wartburg, Iowa, to take on Wartburg for the 5th time in program history, that game is going to be streamed over at the Nest. Now, the Aquinas game, if that's on over there too, that would be fantastic. So a lot of folks, man, are when it comes to high school state tournament time, I mean, this is big stuff. We go all in around here, and this area is produced a lot of recent state champions. So go Aquinas and go West Salem too, by the way, because we did get a message from Special K asking who's going to go to the game tomorrow. I wish we could. It's down in Madison. It's going to be at Camp Randall. I'm not going to be able to make it, but who knows, Special K, maybe we'll get some more P1s. Stick around, guys and gals. We're going to come back in about 1 minute with our sports betting insider, former UNLV quarterback Jon Denton, with our weekly plays. Stay tuned. Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of OneTrust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home, or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of OneTrust Real Estate. Preferred Insurance is the official auto, home, business, flood, and life insurance agency of the Sports Carnival, serving folks in La Crosse and surrounding areas with licenses in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. As an independent insurance agency, Preferred Insurance is free to find the very best insurance for you, your family, or your business needs. Call my friends at Preferred Insurance today and set up a free consultation. Remember, working with an independent agency means Preferred Insurance works for you, with you, to find the best solutions at the best prices.
Back to the action here at the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. You know, Dave, I was hacked last night, so I tried to change my password to penis, but it said it was too short. Huh? There's your host, Dave Carney.
Oh, my goodness. We used to have a name for a guy, Bill Maher, long walk for a short laugh. And I wonder if he tried to change that password in there too.
He might have.
Hey, this guy's not short on anything. He's 6 foot, I don't know, tall, 6'2". He was a quarterback for the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, spent some time in the National Football League, the Canadian Football League, the Arena Football League, and now he's just slinging it for us in our sports betting and our sports betting predictions. Jon Denton with us. JD, top of the morning. How the fuck you doing?
Boys, we're doing good, man. It's cold as a mofo out here, and big the old knee in the hip ain't ready for this. I tell you, I'm always told that. Knee in the hip.
Is that what's bothering you? Knee and hip?
Yeah, it never had any injuries, knock on wood, for like a surgery or stuff. But man, it's just the old arthritic. Doing the old workouts in the morning takes a little bit of extra juice. I look like what's the golfer name? Getting out there, Angel Cabrera.
There
right?
you go.
I look like the old guy in the corner doing the knee jerker.
John, that's actually really surprising that you haven't had surgeries. I'm like kind of shocked by that. How many players do you know that played as long as you did that didn't actually have surgeries?
Oh man, a lot of them. Oh, actually, that didn't have surgeries.
Yeah, how many players did you know that didn't actually have to go under the knife? Like, you're one of the few that I've ever known that hasn't.
Yeah, one of the few. All the guys that I talked to on my text and in my short circle is all of them have had some sort of knee, some sort of hand, elbow, whatever it is, shoulder. Usually knee and shoulders is what it is, really. But yeah, no knife for me, which was
wow.
Good.
Lucky you.
Which probably was a detriment to the as I got into my 25 to 35 years. I probably put more hurt on my body playing in these rec leagues than I did, getting slammed into the Samboyd AstroTurf.
Yeah, good call. AstroTurf, by the way, I'd love to get your thoughts on what Rodgers had to say about that recently, or just, turf in general. But before we go anywhere, Chad, I just want to throw this out here. John and his wife just celebrated their 22nd. Actually, was it 22 years? Am I remembering correctly? 21st wedding anniversary. I know that you're not a big social guy, but congratulations. Saw you posted that on Twitter. So happy anniversary, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we had a good night. Like I said, she's a rock, man. Good lady, good mama. Anytime somebody can let you sports bet, travel around the world, travel around the country, hang out with the boys, right? That's a solid gal. So I had to give it up for her this weekend. We went to the Dave Matthews Band concert out in Omaha, and got ourselves a little rock concert for about 2.5 hours. So it was nice.
That's awesome. Hey, Dave Matthews, that's a heck of a concert to go to if you're trying if you're trying to show the love. Dave gives you a lot of different places in which you can express that love. JD, The sports picks that we're going to go with this week, these are a little confusing for Chad, and I couldn't tell if you were going college basketball or college football. We've got the play on the NFL, so I want to just bring up the slide here, guys, because I want to give John time to sort of break us down and tell us exactly what it is that you've got for us. And, I was looking at your NFL pick. If you're watching us here on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, on Twitter, you can see this. If you're listening, John's got college plays and he's got an NFL play. Are all these going under a 6-point teaser? Is this what you're doing? You're taking all of these games in a tease, or is that just going to be something we'll talk about with Green Bay?
No, that's just tonight's NFL game. I'm sticking this week with college football and one game in the NFL. I just haven't been able to enjoy good Sunday games lately with all my picks losing in the last fourth quarter or coaches going for it on fourth down when they should never be doing. So I'm just going to lay off the NFL picks for the weekend and kind of enjoy my Sunday. But I've got some really good college plays. I think I've taken a couple from a couple sharps that I follow. But yeah, let's jump in. I think Friday night is San Diego State, New Mexico. Both these teams are anemic on offense. I think both of them sit outside the top 100 in yards per game. But this is an edge matchup, a matchup play specifically with a nice little fade system too. So you look at defense, 23rd ranked run defense for San Diego State. I think they sit 57th on the run game as well. So they've got a decent what do we call it? A characteristic of the team, right? But they don't pass the ball very well. Good thing about it is New Mexico defense is 101st, I think, in total defense. So, but this really is the fade system. When you have a team that scored 10 points or less the last two games, which New Mexico did, this totals less than 62.5, and there's a point spread of plus or minus 17. You're looking at a 36% covering system here, fading New Mexico. So I'm going with the Aztecs minus 14. I think there's just two different tiers in the Mountain West Conference. San Diego definitely gets the win here. Big time win. I think they win by actually 21 points or more.
Yeah, I could see this being way more than 21. San Diego State is one of these teams, Chad, and I don't know how much you've really paid attention last couple of years, though, but they've really been on the come. I mean, San Diego State was a team that had some decent success basketball, right? We used to have a good, San Diego State basketball team, but the football program, John, has really, really been taking it to another level. I like that one. Now, San Jose State, this is another one that's out there in the Mountain West. Now, who are they facing off against?
Yeah, this is an ugly game, right? It's San Jose State at Utah State.
Yikes.
Again, another Mountain West Conference matchup. I've just been paying attention, obviously, with the Rebels, but looking at these two teams here, stealing this play from one of the sharps I follow, Marco D'Angelo. You guys know him. We're not buying the Utah State team. I think their recent record's 4-1. The recent line, or this line, is inflated just towards that, basically. Classic matchup edge all over the field. In this one, I think the Spartans have every single matchup edge from every book that I looked, or every site that I've looked. But when you look at the last 5 in this matchup, favorite is 4-1 against the spread. The road team is 6-2 against the spread. So I like the better team with the small number here. Again, Aggies have 104th ranked offense. San Jose State's decent on defense. They're in the top 40 in defense. So give me the better team, small favorite conference matchup.
I like that. Now, these next 3 games, Liberty, Charlotte, Washington. Outside of Washington, we know the Huskies here, but Liberty and Charlotte, you'll have to give us a little background here. Why did you focus in on these 2 games, and who are their opponents?
Yeah, absolutely. Liberty is playing Virginia Tech. So when you look at Virginia Tech, how far they've fallen, right? Liberty is minus 9.5, almost a double-digit favorite over Virginia Tech. Again, a matchup nightmare for Virginia Tech across the board here. When you look at what Hugh Freeze does on offense, every site that I used, every site that I researched has every single matchup statistical advantage going to Liberty. I do think they win this game by. This is their chance. Again, these are teams. When you look at Liberty, they're new to Division I from a couple years, right? They're new to the FBS, right? They're going to take every chance that they can to wall up one of these Power 5 programs, right? So when you look at that, they say it in their team news channel and all the social media stuff. So you have to jump on that bandwagon. And when you look at what they've done, they allowed 200 yards rushing their last game. They're 13-2-1 against the spread in the last 16 after they've given up a big run game. So they switched that. Hugh Freeze has been at the helm since that. So again, that's just a coaching switch, an adjustment that's made for the next game. Mere play against the Hokie offense as well. So I like Liberty minus 9.5 in this one.
The only thing, John, that I'm going to throw out here about the Virginia Tech, and I know that Virginia has canceled the remainder of their season, and we found that out this morning. Virginia, their program is going to shut down. I just wonder if Virginia Tech and just the whole area isn't going to be playing with some renewed sense of purpose to honor these kids, and that's the only thing I can say about this game. However, Hugh Freeze, to be fair, I didn't realize he was the coach of Liberty. That's a huge get for these guys, and no wonder they're actually able to sort of do what they do. Now, Charlotte, what conference does Charlotte play in?
I think they're the Atlantic Coastal or not. There's some, I don't know. They're in the Sun Belt or sun-dried tomato or something. I can't remember. But
it doesn't matter.
So Charlotte's actually a dog in this game. They're playing Louisiana Tech. This is a pure situational play for me, though. Anytime I can get an angle or multiple angles of 70% or better with a decent sample size, right? I usually tend to hone in on that and then kind of look at the matchup, see where we're at. But for this game to be only +3 and where they stand in this year, Charlotte has definitely underperformed this year based off of where they were rated, preseason projections. But here's the spot. Here's the situation is that if the team lost last time out to this opponent, so they're in a revenge spot. They lost last year. They lost the last game out, so they lost last weekend. It's the final month of the season. They're at home, and the number is between the threes, so it's ±3. There's a 74% against the spread winning angle for Charlotte this week. So I'm playing Charlotte. I might even sprinkle a little money line on Charlotte this week as well.
God, this is why we have Jon Denton on, and I can just see this because they've taken pictures for us recently, John, and posted them on Twitter. So Char and Rick the Silver Fox are right now at home watching or listening to this and on the whiteboard making these predictions and also counting your record up for you so that they can throw this back to you on Twitter at Johnny.
I can't wait to see the record. I love it. Char's not one to shy away from.
No, she isn't. Nope. Char's going to give it to you. Washington -4. So Washington, this year's Washington team, again, the Pac-12, Pac-16, whatever the fuck, it has been a lot better than people were giving it credit for. I think we all collectively, fellas, yourself, myself, and Chad, knew that Lincoln Riley was going to take that USC team to another level. But, you look at the Pac-12, Pac-16, there's 6 teams in the top 25 right now. And there is an outside shot that if things bounce the right way, USC could actually become a playoff team, even though I don't think that'll happen this year. But tell us about Washington -4. And, of course, for Chad and the folks up there in Yakima, this one probably resonates a bit. Why do you like this game?
Well, this was actually a bet on my play. It was Washington State. So, again, it's Washington State.
Still, even closer than I think to Chad. So there you go.
It's right next to him, Puyallup. So, so I'm playing Washington State -4. Again, another situational trend here. Cannot ignore this week. Fading Arizona. And this one is even a bigger situational trend, which is great. Here's the trend. It's simple as this. Previous game was an away dog, straight up win. So Arizona was a 26-point underdog against UCLA last week. They won as an away dog, right? Now they're on the home dog side. They're at home. They're a dog. These teams have covered 17.7% against the spread.
Jesus.
Give me Wazoo -4.
No doubt. Yeah. So you're basically telling me there's 73% reasons to go the other way, or 83% reasons to go the other way.
Wow, man. Anytime I can get that kind of angle with, again, team coming off of a high, right, a big win. And then when you look at UCLA, USC this week, that's another big game this week when you're talking about that, not only a conference matchup, but USC has kind of that outside-in ability to get maybe into that national championship talk. So that's another big game this week, though. But, yeah, give me Wazoo -4.
I like this, and I just think it's really fun to actually see, guys like Chip Kelly. So was laughed out of the NFL essentially after a season. The first season with Philly wasn't bad, and then it just sort of unraveled after that. But he takes over a UCLA program that had been in just the dumps. You had Mora was the coach for a while. Just not anybody was able to restart that. And now you start to see what Chip Kelly's coaching can do. Chad, the fact that you're up there in the Pacific Northwest, do people ever still talk about Chip Kelly's Oregon Ducks, or is that such a bygone era now that it's just kind of over? Okay.
No, the Oregon people are just pissed that the Huskies ended up pulling that game out.
That's a good point.
What's funny is that when you look at it, just kind of off sidebar, but when you look at the offenses of today and all of this read and short outsides and passes, and you look at the film from when Chip Kelly entered, like none of that shit was going on.
Exactly.
And now everybody's doing it, right? He was, again, ahead of his time. That's, again, one of those things where somebody was probably a little bit ahead of their time from when he was at the NFL.
And
all they're not doing is holding those signs up with all those cute pictures on there. That was my favorite part of that. I just love that because I always wanted to watch the game and go, what cute sign did they come up with this week?
Hey, it was creative play calling, man. That way you didn't have to worry about helmets, audibles coming through and
language learning things. You just look at pictures. It's great. That's
they're talking to college students of today, Chad. So you've got to remember, not a lot of reading going on.
Emoji.
That would be the thing now, wouldn't it? It would be two emojis and like an ampersand. You're like, wait, what? Oh, hashtag that. Got it.
There you go.
Listen, just one final thing on Chip Kelly, because I want to talk NFL. The Packers Titans tonight. We haven't really touched on this much. We were waiting for you. But Chip Kelly, if he would have had Michael Vick stay healthy that year, because Michael Vick under Chip Kelly was electric. If he would have had Michael Vick stay healthy, I don't know that it wouldn't have worked, because Michael Vick is probably the most perfect at that time NFL quarterback to play a Chip Kelly style of system. But I digress, because we want to make sure we get your take here in on the Packers. So Packers hosting the Titans tonight. This is a game that's a must-win for Green Bay. Again, everything at this point is a must-win for Green Bay. The Packers are a 3-point favorite, which, John, that really shows you how little confidence Vegas has overall in Green Bay winning this game, because 3 points is essentially, for those that are uninitiated, the bare minimum for like a home field advantage, right? Like that's a home field line. What usually you would see, and you talked about this for a number of years, what usually you would see, Chad, is a number for Green Bay coming out in the 5-6 range, because Aaron Rodgers is weighted for 2-3 points in many cases. That's not the case anymore. And look, Tennessee, I realize, is going to be playing without key starters, but we just found out this morning, John, the Packers are going to be without both of their best offensive tackles in Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari. Green Bay's already got a hell of a time protecting the pass and protecting their run game. They can't stop the run. We saw that against Dallas. You face a Derrick Henry, led Titans team. I know there are a lot of Packer fans that think this is going to be a win. I'm not ready to say that yet. Why did you take the Packers and this Titans game, but tease the 3 points? I mean, you're basically looking at this as a soft spot for Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think there's some injury concerns, obviously, with both teams. I just think with both teams coming off the way that they won, Titans obviously a muddy, ugly win, as they always do. Again, Denver's got a physical defense, but when you look at what the Packers did, I don't think the Packers win over the Cowboys did anything to cure and fix a multitude of the problems they have on offense. They still rank 25th or 26th in scoring. They only scored 18 a game. They didn't make any moves to increase that, or, I think here's the thing, is that when you look at the defense for the Titans, I think they're capable of hanging up that run game for the Packers. I really do. I think they're able to. They maybe not be able to stop it all the way, but I think they'll definitely be able to control it. They're not going to be able to run for 200-something yards again. They're going to make Aaron Rodgers throw the ball. When you look at Mike Vrabel, that's what he does. And when you look at situational trends that back this, the reason why I threw an extra 6 points on top of both the total and the side was, the Titans are at an 80% straight up and a 12-6 against the spread record when facing opponents that average 4.5 yards more per rush over the last 3 seasons. So what that tells you is that they stymie the defense, play to that like mucky up game, and stay within the number. 3 to me was a little bit concerning, because it did open at 1.5. So those Sharps did take that home field advantage that you were talking about. But I doubt this thing gets over anything over than 3. So I think the Titans win. I really do. I just think they win outright. But again, I'll take the 9 points, almost double digits as well.
John,
it's the same thing. He's already placed his bets. Don't let him lie to you.
Oh, dude, I wasn't going to tell everybody that. Yeah, I took the Titans on the money line, man. I couldn't help myself.
How did you?
It was too juicy.
There we go.
JD, thanks for everything, brother. Happy anniversary once again. We'll talk to you next week, man.
All right, gents. Take care.
The official mortgage team of the Sports Carnival is the Midwest Mortgage Team of Land Home Financial, my good buddies Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi. Listen, we all know the mortgage industry is in a bit of an upheaval right now, and that's why it's more important than ever to go to a couple of guys that you can trust, a local operation right here in La Crosse. That is the Midwest Mortgage Team. Again, Michael Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi of Land Home Financial. Don't make a mistake with your mortgage needs. Go to the official mortgage provider of the Sports Carnival, the Midwest Mortgage Team, Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi.
Hey, it's Todd Vercruzzi's Hot Tubs and Jacuzzis with a big announcement for the next 2 months. When you buy a hot tub or jacuzzi, you get a pair of tickets for the Big Cruises Booze Cruise. headed to Cabo. So sop that mop and then come pop a top with me, the Coos.
Sop that mop is slang term for wet bush.
Yes, it is. Back to the action live from the Trauma Center studios. This is the Sports Carnival. You know, Vince Scully once said, losing feels worse than winning feels good. Now here's your host, Dave Carney.
Yeah. Boy, him and Yogi Berra, quote books galore, right? You would just get everybody together and say, hey, just listen to these guys for 2 or 3 hours and you'll be filling yourself up with all sorts of goodness. Jason P1 Breacher Chad checked in, said Wisconsin out drinking your state since 1848. Whichever state is your state, Wisconsin out drinking your state. And a little correction here on the program. Wanted to make sure that we threw this up here. So Maddie over at the recovery room wanted to just let our audience members know they will have both of the games, the high school football game today, the Aquinas game, and the Eagles game streamed over at the recovery room as well. So 7th and Mississippi Street. Well, now I've made different plans, right? I mean, at first I had a plan, and then Matt tells me they'll stream it at the recovery room, which, listen, I have to go back to anyways because, well, Matt's the one who let me use his shop vac because unnamed plumbing company, at least for now, don't fucking send me a bill. Okay, I talked to you guys on the phone yesterday. You know who you are. Don't send me a bill. But unnamed plumbing company flooded my basement. Matt fortunately had like 4 shop vacs, the one that I could fit Chad into my trunk of the car, right? It turned out to be just enough. It did the job. But I've got to go back there anyway. So now I've just made completely different plans. See, this is the thing. It just rolls. You never know exactly which way the Sports Carnival is going to take you. That's why it's mostly fun and cool and you're good. But then you get dangerous.
So what time are these high school football games? Are they going to be? So you're going to have to watch. You're going to have that on one, and then you're going to have Green Bay on another. I mean, like.
No, it's going to be. No, these are played during the daytime.
Right? Oh, it's day drinking.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes. I know.
Nothing's better. This is when you know life is good. When you're day drinking at a bar watching a high school football game. That's good times. That's
good
Wisconsin
times.
Living right there. Bush lattes, yes.
You know, it's so awesome that you've mentioned the Bush latte again. I actually thought that it was going to be, okay, all right, we're getting more information, 4:00 today. So sunset's actually at 4:00. So technically we could be in that range of not day drinking, but mid-afternoon to early evening drinking. Thank you. See, okay. we need these guys to be able to give us the exact information on what this is. You know, all the stuff that goes on. Special case says Prost to Soul Surfer. That's, of course, Jason Breacher. And I'm not sure who's going to these, who's going to the high school state championship games tomorrow from the area. I know a lot of people will, but yeah, we won't have to dual track it. Packer game will start at 7:15. The game will definitely be over by then. The high school football game will definitely be over by then. So yeah, I think we'll be able to squeeze both in. Yeah. And everybody's talking about Randall Cobb being back for. Cobbie. Yeah, this is big. This is big. Randall Cobb's, you know, again, he's everybody's favorite, 8-game-a-season wide receiver. Like when Randall Cobb got signed by the Green Bay Packers, I thought, first of all, why? Because, he hasn't been on the field for a full season since 2014, which, wow, just looking at my little calendar down here at the bottom of my screen, that's 8 years ago. But Randall Cobb's fine. I think that he's more of, in my estimation, he's more of a coach on the field than he is an actual player. He had some production this year. Don't get me wrong. Randall Cobb's he's a really nice security blanket for Aaron Rodgers, but don't get yourselves confused, guys. And this isn't to be shitting on the Packers because it's not like that. We all love the Packers. This just isn't a good football team right now. It just isn't. The Packers beating the Cowboys, that was okay. And I really do believe that a lot of what we saw there from Green Bay was more the Cowboys losing than it was the Packers winning, because the Cowboys just made some really, really bad calls. I mean, bad calls. Not that Green Bay didn't make the plays and Rodgers looked great. I listen, you can't take anything away from Christian Watson and Aaron Rodgers, but I will say this. As bad as Mike McCarthy is as a coach, that's how good Mike Vrabel is for the Tennessee Titans. You don't get to be 6-3 in the NFL and hang with the team like Kansas City without your starting quarterback, okay? Without being an incredibly well-coached team. This is one of the areas for the Green Bay Packers that I think they get exposed on. Look at some of the coaches they faced this year. Robert Saleh, loss. Brian Daboll, loss. Nearly lost to Bill Belichick and Bailey Zappi at home, right? The third-string quarterback who had never seen action. The teams that Green Bay that they have lost to this year, and that's been mostly everybody, have been coached by really good coaches. And it's just not.
They beat the Cowboys, Dave. Did you not notice that they beat the Cowboys?
I know. They beat the Cowboys. Kurt Scott is checking in. Go Pack Go. I'm with you, man. Go Pack Go. And I want the Packers to win. But if I'm making a wager, as you just outed me for, on this evening's game, I've got to go with where my instincts and also where the evidence is showing me it should go. Because the thing with Packer fans is, and we do this better than any fan base probably in the country, we believe. Whether or not these beliefs are rooted in any sort of factual evidence basis of any sort of, actual tangible, stats or facts, it doesn't matter. This is a system of belief. And so I'm with that belief. I want the Packers to win. I just needed to make some extra money. So I bet on Tennessee. If I lose, I'm always going to be the happiest person to lost that bet. I really will.
Well, I hope that, what we saw from Christian Watson last week continues in this game tonight. If that continues, and we know he can get open.
Yes.
The key is kind of like that guy. I don't know if you watched that movie. I think it was The Replacements, where that one guy could run really fast, but he could never catch the football.
Yep.
That's the key. So Christian was able to catch the football. If you can continue to catch the football, because we know you'll be open, that's going to help out Aaron Rodgers. And if Randall Tex Cobb is on the field,
yes,
so it makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And they continue with the run game, and they continue to play good defense, and they get some turnovers, and they're able to keep, Derrick Henry under 200 yards.
Right.
Then I think they have a shot.
Listen, they've always got a shot because they've got Aaron Rodgers. Excuse me. As much as Aaron Rodgers, and a lot of fans have pointed this out, as much as he has this season not played up to expectations, he still is that dude, right? When it comes down to it, he still is that dude. So yes, you're right. And I think that Randall Cobb, Chad, is more of, like I said, a security blanket for Aaron. And he knows that he's got somebody in the slot that he can dump the ball off to. The Packers don't really run a big tight end. Mercedes Lewis, I don't know if he's caught 2 balls this year so far, but Randall Cobb's that guy for Aaron, right? Jordy Nelson used to be a guy like that, where he could dump it off in the slot. Sure, they can take the top off at one point in their career, not now, but he had somebody to go to. The thing for, the Packers, as you mentioned, is really the development of these wide receivers, which, sidebar, once again, Amari Rodgers, who got released, did get picked up by the Houston Texans. That did not take long. So Amari Rodgers was claimed off of waivers by the Houston Texans.
So go from a mediocre team to a shit team.
Exactly. From a mediocre team.
You're still in the league, so that's good.
That is, and you got a job, right, at least for this week, and Houston needs live bodies. It's, like Matt LaFleur said, maybe it was just time for Amari Rodgers to get a different sort of environment, right? He just exhausted what it was to be a Packer.
And I don't know Texan stats right off the top of my head, but I'm guessing that they're probably low on fumbles this year, so maybe they wanted to tick that up a smidge. So they were like, we've only had 2 fumbles this year, guys. Could we pick up this Amari Rodgers guy? Right. Maybe we can get that stat going the other direction.
Meanwhile, you find out that it's somehow like Pete Rose's, ownership team that's behind this. Like, yeah, we got this over on the fumbles. Yeah, to get this guy on the team now. Let's see. So Neil Duda checking in, and Neil says, great show. Keep it up. Thank you, Neil. It's always Neil. I tell you what, Chad has become a huge, not little, but a huge fan of your tunes and your music. This stuff, it really does grow on you. It really does. It's got this campiness, this certain kind of an appeal, and the beats are banging, and it's Neil's voice. You hear it.
Well, I've been teasing this, and last night I started delving into my animation software that I have. We've actually purchased the good stuff now, and I've got something brewing here. I think it's going to be a cartoon, and it's Hey Duda DJ services. So hopefully that'll be debuting on Monday.
Real quick, let me answer Maddie's text here. Matt Ellens from the recovery room says, over under Derrick Henry tonight. What is he projected at right now? Because I've got the spreads up for the games. I know the Packers -3. The total is still sitting at 41. I don't know what Derrick Henry's prop was. So real quick, tell me, what was his prop? If you give me the number, I'll let you know if I think he goes over under. If it's somewhere around, Chad, if the prop on Derrick Henry tonight is somewhere around like 86 yards, is it 105?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's somewhere around 86 yards, then I think that you go over. If it's 105 or more, I think you probably take under. But Derrick Henry in the last game against Denver, I had the lowest rushing total he'd had, I want to say, in a couple of years, with 53 yards.
Yeah.
I think that you can anticipate. Tennessee is going to do, I think the Packers did to the Cowboys. They're going to keep this ball on the ground. They're going to run time of possession. They're going to try to ground and pound it as much as possible. And okay, Joey gives us 99.5. Joey, I think I'd go over on that one. I would. If it was 105, I'd probably take the under. I can see him coming in about 102, 103. I'd probably take the over, 99.5. Yeah. Well, Chadwick, feels like we're almost done here. Kurt, thanks for reaching out, man. Great to see your name pop up there. Say hi to Penny for us. And until tomorrow morning, Chad, we're going to fly loose and free on a Friday. We'll talk about Packers, Titans, and get set for the rest of the weekend in the NFL. Be well.